Amazon FBA logistics, shipping to Amazon. What's going on with this? In this video, we're gonna discuss it. In this video, we're gonna share with the aim of helping you be more efficient with your logistics in 2022 and maybe even in future. And we're gonna help you to stay in stock, to get your goods on time to Amazon, and just to understand what's going on, because 2020 had a big change. 2021 prices go up, down. What's going on? Some congestions, LA port. What's going on? How do we navigate through that as Amazon sellers? I'm gonna try to help you in this video with that. My name is Vova, Amazon seller since 2016. Happy to have you here on the channel with me, Amit Rosenthal from Rosenthal Logistics. He's been a guest on our channel multiple times. We created together a free course for you with the idea of explaining to you how all the logistics things work. So in the description, I'm going to have a playlist for that. It's free here on YouTube. I'm going to have links to all the stuff of Amit, his website and everything. Amit, can you introduce yourself, man, to us, please? It's great to have you here back on the channel. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, thank you, Vova. You know, you are one of my biggest person I like in the industry for sure. Like if anybody or if anyone haven't watched your video channel, so please do. Vova is one of the greatest people on earth, and I'm telling this honestly. On a personal level, my name, of course, is Amit Rosenthal. I'm the CEO of Rosenthal Logistics Company. We are a freight forwarding company handling Amazon sellers and logistics to Amazon and to 3PL. But for the e-commerce, let's say in Amazon spec in general, we're trying to be database or driven by data and trying to give the most relevant and accurate information in order for you guys or sellers to have inventory on stock all the time, and trying to give really the accurate information, because there is a lot of mixed information, a lot of freight forwarding trying to sell shipments and by giving false information. So trying to be positive and trying to be accurate as much as possible.
That's good, man. That's good to hear. And we're happy to have you back with us, man. We did a lot of content with you, man. It's cool. And the feedback is pretty positive. I'm not sure if you're aware, but on our course on Udemy, which is also available for free here on YouTube, we have, I think, over 2,000 people or even more now, I'm not sure, that joined, and we're getting pretty much good feedback because I think the things are good, they're transparent, they're real as it is, and that's what we want and we need. Yeah, myself as a seller, been experiencing so much with prices changing, things getting stuck somewhere. We've sent in the end of last year, maybe, and you probably know, in Canada, I think bridges collapsed, man. Roads were closed because of the rain. We luckily stayed in stock and survived the Christmas without going out of stock, but the goods arrived afterwards, and it took a few months. So things are happening, but now it's 2022, and seems like the world is getting back to normal. And hard to say, it's actually depends on, man, yeah, so many things. But what about logistics? Like, what's going on, man? What do you think is going to happen this year? What do you see? Do you see prices going down? Do you even see the prices going back pre-corona? Do you see it being just normal as it is? Generally, what do you think is going to happen, man? Let's try to break it down today.
Well, it's too many questions to answer on everything, but we'll try to break it down as you mentioned. Let's start by divided, generally speaking, the year, of course, start with the Russian invasion to Ukraine. It has a domino effect on the whole logistics industry and the logistics chain. The main reason is that once Russia and Ukraine in general have one of the major ports in Europe, and most of the carriers and shipping line have routing going to Europe via Russia and Ukraine. So now, when vessels do not call those ports at all, there is a change in the whole routing and the shipping industry in general. So this will have for sure a long-term effect, because people need to recognize that logistics is not something that is solved in one day. Meaning, if something now is going on, it's take a long time, sometimes a year or even 2 years, just to adjust again to the normal circumstances. So if something like that happened, we have to recognize the consequences. The second consequences, of course, is the oil, the oil freight, which is increased, I don't know in percentage, but whatever. It reached also to the highest point, I think, ever recorded, just 2 weeks ago. And of course, shipping line, airline, and everybody using oil to generate, the vessels and the aircrafts and so on. So once the oil reach its highest point, so automatically truckers, airlines, shipping lines will increase the cost. So if you ask me what is my position in regard to cost in general, ocean freight, air freight, and so on, in my opinion, 2022, we don't gonna see any big improve on that regard. Like for now, rate decreased a bit, right? But in my opinion, April, May, June, we're gonna see the effect or the domino effect on that regard, and we're gonna see a rise on the prices in general. So this is something I believe which is not that optimistic, right? But I'm not trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to give my personal opinion on the situation. Another point now, which is critical, that happening really in these days. Today is March 21st. Just today, Shenzhen went out from lockdown, all right, Shenzhen in China, and Shanghai is super, super close to be in lockdown as well. And we have to recognize that Shenzhen port, and for sure Shanghai port, is maybe one of the 5 major and biggest container ports in the world, right? So if the port activity decrease because workers are not allowed to come to work, they have to stay at home, right? Shipping vessel cannot enter to port because there is no operational staff members working in the port itself. It has the same dynamic effect that there will be a major delays. Vessel will omit ports, and there will be a side effect of, again, delays with departure and delays with shipping entering to port. So this is another, let's say, a pessimistic point of view on what's going on now. So, China has a policy of zero tolerance of any COVID, so because now of the Omicron, there is numbers of, 3,000, 5,000 people being
infected, something like that.
Yes, exactly, on a daily basis. So China, with their policy, trying to mitigate this situation, and they're pushing to have a lockdowns, right? To have lockdowns, and ports are not working efficiently. Suppliers are not working efficiently. Factories are being closed and shut down. So everything now, like people think, all right, today is March 21st, but you have to recognize, every seller have to recognize that the side effect of such incidents will be for a month and 2 months and 3 months ahead. Because if the factories are not able to produce now, so there will be delay in your manufacture for your specific order. But for everyone, all right, everyone orders, there will be delays. And again, the side effect that you're going to have delays in the manufacture, you're going to have delays on the shipping, and eventually you have to start manufacture earlier. But when you have to start manufacture earlier, right, with your prediction, meaning you have to have better cash flow, right? Because now you have to, because maybe you didn't have enough cash flow selling on Amazon. So how are you going to now ask for production, for new production? How are you going to pay for shipping line? How are you going to pay for freight forwarders? So there is a problem in that regard. But in my opinion, is much better you're going to be organized, so the better the outcome will be. So you have to recognize, all the seller must recognize that the situation need to be changed dramatically, right? Based on your SOP or your initial assumption on how you're going to work. And this is, in my opinion, a big point people need to remember. That's on that issues.
So, I mean, if I understand right, let's quickly do a little summing up here. So the year, we're still, still COVID is there pretty much. So this impacts from time to time China sometimes. Maybe there can be an outbreak in Los Angeles port or something like that. These are big ports.
You can never know. We can never know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, and they can even be in the same warehouse on Amazon where your goods are, specifically your goods, who's watching. You never know, right? With this, so everything is unpredictable these days. Of course, there is the war actually, and there are huge ports, as you mentioned, in Russia, Ukraine, and also, as you mentioned, everything, specifically if these are bigger ports, it has a huge toll on everything that's happening. And the
Right.
things that are happening with these things have an impact years ahead. So what we're seeing today is maybe like the things that happened even 2 years ago with the beginning of COVID. That's why the
Right.
prices maybe are still high and all this. So we need to acknowledge that. And once we acknowledge that, we can base our current actions on. So maybe if we understand,
Right.
okay, now I'm producing in Shanghai and we're going maybe to a lockdown now. Maybe I should produce faster now because maybe we'll get, extra delay of a month, right? And
Like
Mhm.
I want to add, Vova, that
Yeah.
I believe that 20% of the shipments we are handling today,
Mhm.
like we get feedback from our agents, listen, the supplier area is on lockdown, we cannot come and pick up the goods.
Yeah, pick up.
So acknowledge that point and remember that the side effect that we are talking in China, right? Like I think 2021 can be summarized in the logistics world in two major points. One, the rate increased like hundreds of percentage up. And the second, there was major delays, mainly due to Los Angeles congestion, right, at Los Angeles port.
Mm-hmm.
So now when rates, let's say, decrease, I don't want to say to a normal scale because they will never come back to the same scale that it was, let's say, in 2019, right? But let's say, generally speaking, what we had in 2020 or in 2021, so the rate is general on a normal scale these days. But you have to remember that
Yes, I see.
US authorities did a lot in order to minimize the congestion at Los Angeles ports, right? But now, because of the side effect of the port of what is going on in China port, right, and vessel omit and do not call the ports, what really happened because of that is that eventually multiple vessels will reach Los Angeles on the same time. And the effect of that, it will again increase the congestion and we're going to face delays again and again. So the side effect of everything is going on in the logistics, because it's a logistics chain in general, whatever you face in the first chain, let's say in your supplier or in China or whatever, it will have for sure effect in the last chain, right, in the United States. So everybody need to recognize every chain is linked together eventually. And if something going on in one chain, even if it's the first one or the third one or the last one, it has effect on the whole chain with increasing on the rates and delays eventually. So everybody need also, I cannot say that everybody need always to be, on top of the news and listen to what's going on and understand logistics, because it's not realistic, right? But at least you have to understand the agenda, that if we take the logistics chain in a whole, right, and there is one major crisis in one of the chain, so it will have a domino effect on all the logistics chain, and you have to act accordingly.
So yeah, I understand. So as you mentioned, we cannot, maybe as sellers, you can probably, because that's you run a huge company that that does it every day. So you must, I believe, even
Right.
be in the
Right.
there. But
On top of everything.
on top of everything, yeah, exactly. And we as sellers, we should, because this is a big part of our business, at least private label that ships from China to USA, like it should be always also a high priority. Yes, as you mentioned, things are linked to each other, so one link gets like impacted, all the others suffer. Okay, and maybe
Right.
sellers are like asking, okay, so what can we do, right? How can we battle that? You've touched on cash flow beforehand, like maybe because we were not able to predict, and sometimes we really can't predict the war pandemic, so how can we at least, or like how can we even navigate through that, right? And I have something like a little tip from myself that helped me survive this and still stay in business with my business, is negotiating better terms with suppliers and with the freight forwarders. All right. So for example,
Right.
and I'm talking cash flow terms. So for example, we're ordering, let's say 5,000 units of a product. Yes, we can pay for them straight away. Like, the normal 30-70, which many sellers start from, like 30% today, 70 once it's
Right.
finished, which
Right.
is okay. That's fine. But maybe not from the first order, but maybe yes. It depends on you, your company, what you represent. But maybe you pay big order, you pay 20%, and then the rest of 80% you pay on demand. So let's say we finish all the production, we pay 20%, and then on demand, without paying today, we will be able to pay the rest of 80%. So let's say we still have goods in the warehouse, and after 3 months we need an extra 2,000. Only then we pay the 80% and ship them out. This helps us have money on hands, because from what I've learned, and again, we're not a huge business. Let's say last year our Amazon business did in sales $372,000, which is not a lot. It's a mid six figure, right? Hopefully this year we're gonna do better, but still, like it's a business that sells like tens of thousands of units, right? And we need cash flow. That's what I need to have money on hand, because aside of that, I still need to live. I need to pay for this place and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this would be my little tip for sellers: negotiate terms, and maybe with the freight forwarders as well. Like I know the freight forwarder also wants the money now. Obviously, everybody wants to get the dollar bills, the green dollar bills today, but we have to help each other here, right? So we try to negotiate some things. It also depends on relationships. But so these are like my tips. What do you think, Amit, from your side?
Like being realistic, right? Being realistic, yes. And again, I will say, because I want to generate, valuable information to sellers in general, but so I would say also from the point of view of a freight forwarder, right? But in general, what you advise is mainly depend on how long you have a relationship with your supplier 100%. Or with freight forwarder. Because I'm telling you, Vova, and I'm handling Chinese people more than you, right? Or Chinese business more than you. There is zero chance that you will be able to negotiate such term with suppliers, with new suppliers. Maybe if you are working with them 2-3 years, but for new suppliers, it will be just like 0% to have such a commercial term. But maybe what a seller can do, they can try to negotiate better on the cost itself, right? Negotiate with freight forwarders. But in my opinion, there is a lot of possibility today to get a loan for the business, right? Which is crucial in my opinion. But in general speaking, in my opinion, the best advice we can give them is, listen, if you are a new seller, is one story, because you don't have to have inventory on stock. But if you are an ongoing business, so in my opinion, the best thing to do is start production earlier as possible. Like if you have assumption, I don't know, it will take 60 days from production to reach the FBA center. So predict differently and change your way of think on how to manage your stock, and what is the, let's say, generally speaking, efficient transit time going from China to the US, and build all your assumption and your SOP accordingly. Because otherwise, I'm telling you, for 1000%, most likely you will be out of stock eventually.
That makes me think and understand that I have to actually do that. Because we also need to order products. But now, after I'm talking to you, I'm starting to understand, okay, it's middle March now. Obviously, we're still far from Q4 and all this, but I'm selling in barbecue niche, and our peak season is June. So we have units, but we need units now because it takes like 30 days of production. Let's say we start end of April, May. Yes, we need to start today, extra units. And we need to do that.
Let's take this assumption, for example, all right? You as a seller, sell barbecue. You sell barbecue. All right, let's take this example, right? You sell a barbecue product. You're saying, not myself, you're saying that your high season is June, right?
Yes.
So I can guess you want to have inventory on Amazon around end of May. Is it realistic, Vova?
Oh, well, I'm saying that peak of sales, let's say if I'm selling like a barbecue brush today and it sells like 30 units a day, I'm telling you that in June it will be selling 150, let's say. Or some.
No, right. So I'm saying. So what I'm saying that if you want to have enough inventory on Amazon and doing PPC and so on, so you have to have the inventory around the end of May, right?
Hopefully today already, but sound like that.
So
let's say.
So again, let's take this example. Today is March 21st. You're saying if you're starting production today, and let's say it will be tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So the end of production will be relatively around start of April, correct?
Let's say in the middle of this week, 23rd. On Wednesday, we'll start production. 23rd of March, let's say.
Right.
Probably what's going to happen.
So
hopefully.
Let's take 30 to 40 days of production, right? Yes. So the goods will be ready around start of May, correct?
Correct, sir.
Right. So I'm telling you now, take my advice. The only way to reach Amazon on time is to go by Sea Express, by Super Express, not
Super
by Sea
Express,
Express,
yes.
by Super Express,
Right.
when transit time is roughly about 20 to 25 days. So just think now, right? Of course, using Super Express shipping is a method, is a legit method, and it's the right way to do. But you can imagine that if you start your production 2 months ago, right, and not to say something against you, but you can imagine that if the goods would be ready today, or maybe by start of March, right, with better logistics planning,
Yes.
so you could use regular sea shipment and save hundreds of dollars just on the logistics side. So this is something I'm trying to explain all my sellers that's trying to communicate with me. What does it mean to be or to have a good logistics mindset, and to understand your logistics and your stock limitation, and to prepare yourself accordingly. In my opinion, people always say to me, listen, logistics is not that interesting field. I have other things to do. I have PPC, I have whatever. Vova, you are the seller from us, right? I have other aspect on the business I have to run. So I'm saying always to them, listen, right, you are absolutely correct. And Amazon sellers and as an entrepreneur have to know to do a multiple task. Basically to say sellers trying to avoid from the logistics side, right? They're giving the logistics to a freight forwarder or to the supplier to do, but they don't understand with the right planning and the right logistics planning, you can save thousands of dollars. So it's something, maybe it's a lesson for all those sellers who are listening to us, doing the right planning and using your freight forwarder to plan your business throughout the year, in my opinion, is the key for long-term success and saving thousands of dollars on the logistics eventually.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, you're right. And we need to educate ourselves better. Obviously, I'm happy to share my example because I'm a student of the process. You know, I'm trying to share all my journey. And the amount of logistics mistakes that I've made is huge. And we're talking understocking, like having not enough stock, right? Which is maybe what's going to happen now. We also are having, honestly, an issue in USA. We have a warehouse that got locked down and locked about 1,500 units of one product, let's say. There's like legal issues, like totally not even connected to pandemic, to this is something else, also something that came out of nowhere. But and now we realistically might still have problems with stock with this one because we need to produce now. The speed of sales is going like through the roof in the summer, so that will make me pay more money to you, which is fine to you. Yes, you're making money, and we're but this is not good for my business in a way, because I have to pay extra fast sea shipping, which is more expensive than fast sea shipping is more expensive than regular sea shipping, which takes maybe 45 days, whatever. Here's 2025, but you pay more. But aside of that, I might be even in a situation. And I remember with you also, we've shipped cartons with fast air. I think it was 2020, late 2020. I think we did a shipment. I had to get some stuff to Amazon because of my mistakes, pandemic, but I can blame it on everything. It's my mistakes.
Right.
My mistakes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I'm learning. But yes.
Any entrepreneur, I think we had this discussion a lot. Any entrepreneur eventually is running his own business, meaning like every mistake you do, you can always blame the freight forwarder or whoever, but eventually it's your business, so it's your mistake. So yeah, on that point, I can totally relate to that. And again, I think, Vova, a lot of people judge us, right? We're trying to be competitive in our cost all the time, okay? Let's put it this way. But people always judge us. Listen, I got $50 better or $100 better or whatever, which is absolutely okay, and I can understand it. But I'm telling you, and those all sellers are listening to me now, in my opinion, a good freight forwarder, beside of providing good cost and beside of giving solution when occur, and always things are happening, the major role of a freight forwarder is to provide the right assumption and to assist the seller to predict his logistics and his needs accordingly. This is my major key or major role, because Again, Vova, we just discussed it today.
Yeah.
Think if we discussed it 2 months ago, I give you the same advice exactly, right?
Yes.
So you could save thousands of dollars. So
Yes,
then
100%.
I'm not sure that you will say to me, listen, Amit, you are higher than a competitor in $100 because it saves you just $1,000 just on the shipping method, correct?
Yes.
So try to use your freight forwarder as an expert to give you the right advice and the right assumption on that regard specific.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, first, I appreciate that because I'm learning a lot. Hopefully, our listeners too, and hopefully, they're not going to make my mistakes. Another thing I'm thinking about, like for you as a company, I don't know if it makes sense, but like maybe it could be a nice idea to have a product like that, like sort of a consulting, maybe not you because you run the system, but maybe have consultants on your side, or like maybe we have the free course, which in my opinion, if you go through that, like it's linked in the description, it will help you for sure. It's more aimed at understanding basics of logistics to Amazon, but we also share these things. But maybe I'm just thinking as a seller, that's my idea for you. Maybe when people can come to you and on your website, you have such a service or something like, Logistics 2023, make it right, X price, and it's totally going to be worth it because, man, it would be just an idea for you, maybe. I don't know if it makes sense.
Let me put it this way.
Yes.
Perhaps I'm naive, right, Robert? Perhaps I'm naive.
In which way?
We're doing it for free, meaning like every seller wants to discuss with us and approach me and have this conversation. You can write me an email. You can give me a call. I cannot say that I will be available for everyone, but I'm sure we'll reply and we'll try to give my prediction. And again, in my opinion, in this area, you can save tons of dollars, more than trying to, let's say, negotiate with 5 or 10 different freight forwarders to reduce to $50. So if everybody wants to contact me later on, we're going to share my telephone number, we're going to share my email, and please do.
Yeah, we're going to have
everything. It's free of charge, right? Yeah. It's free of charge.
No, that's actually, people need to realize, man, maybe not all people know you personally like I do, but I've been in your offices. I know you. I know Nadav, your bro.
Yeah.
I mean, again, not on a more personal level like you, but I saw the system there. Like I work with you also. People need to, I can say need, but, or even should, I can't even say, but hopefully will be appreciative of what you are doing, your company is doing, because you answering, and you're not naive, man. I think it's a great way of also marketing, but just helping sellers, which also eventually might even give you business. Yes, obviously, but still, just helping. And so we're going to have your contacts in the description. We're going to have a link to our free course here on YouTube, which I recommend. It's 9 lessons. I think it's an hour and a half. Will help you save hundreds or thousands of dollars, maybe. Thank you for sharing your advice with us today. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, maybe, before we sort of wrap it up, man? Maybe something you wanted to share?
Like I can say on a personal level, there is a lot of things we are doing on the business now to be better. We integrate VAs to send automatic shipping status. We are investing a lot of money in building a system, a website that will do like automatic quotes and automatic status, and everything will be, on the cloud. How do you call it? On the web or on the cloud or whatever. So things should be more easily. I think freight forwarder in general is old school business, right? But you have to recognize that we are in 2022. Not you, like myself or the industry, have to recognize that we are in 2022. And in my personal opinion, that if we are providing service to Amazon seller using Amazon platform, which is maybe the best or the high-tech technology company in the world. So you cannot keep on the same mentality of old school mentality using emails and so on. You have to improve yourself and you have to provide with technology and so on. So we are focusing and investing a lot of money. It takes time to build such system. But we are on the right path. And in my opinion, as a company CEO, first of all, you have to recognize and direct your ship or, your company to that point. So I know I'm saying this to a lot of customers for a long time. Listen, we are investing money and so on, but it takes time, but the future, but I'm sure the future will bring a good result. So everybody be a bit patient with us. But again, like
The future
feel
is
free to
bright.
approach us. We will give our advice. Our team members and team staff are here for really to support you as a seller. I wish everybody a successful year.
And just last thing I wanted to ask you, man. If we're talking about success, and you mentioned future is bright, automations are coming, systems are getting better, and that's going to be faster, easier, and maybe even more cost efficient for us as sellers to work with you, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Now, because you're the CEO, I want to ask, what is your best advice, or just your? There are probably many things that are going to be running in your head now, but what's a good advice that you would give to another CEO that might be an SEO, small business, bigger business? I'm not sure who's listening now. There are many people listening. So what would be your advice to be more efficient, to have a better life during that, to stay sane, to have fun during the process of being a CEO and building a better business? Like, I know it's a big question, but what do you say?
All right. So you surprised me with that one. Not that I'm such a good CEO, right? So I don't want so people get my but I think two major points. One is to understand not your business but your industry, right? So familiar and understand your industry, meaning I'm in the freight forwarding world. I'm providing a logistics service for Amazon sellers. So you have to live this world, right? You have to live the logistics. You have to have conversation with Amazon sellers to understand what they are looking for, what you can do better as a freight forwarder, and to be involved in the industry in general. This is one. And this is, I can say about my industry, but everybody has his own business and is working on and other industries, but I think the same. And the second one is to invest in human resource, meaning the staff member working on your company, rather if they are VA or Israelis or Americans or Chinese or whoever. Invest on your staff member. Do not settle with taking, I don't know, staff member with lower salary just to save some cost. Better to pay a bit higher, but to find the right people, because eventually as a CEO, your role is to direct the company to wherever you think, but the people who will do it is your staff members. So they I'm a big basketball fan.
I know.
And there is one of the biggest player ever is Shaquille O'Neal. And he said once, and he's very good in business as well. And he said once, listen, every staff member I'm taking must be better than me in what I'm acquiring. So maybe I know operation, maybe I'm good in, I don't know, marketing, maybe whatever you're good at, but if you are hiring a staff member, so he should be better than you in what you are acquiring. So this is another tip I can give in that regard.
Pretty cool, man. So 2 tips, and like the one you're saying is like get out of your bubble, so to say, and you want to be an explorer of the whole industry, not only your little part of it. Which, for example, for me, let's say as an Amazon seller, I can be an PPC expert. I can really feel that I'm good in that, but I need to also understand that I need to understand the logistics. I need to understand product development.
Also to understand the changes by Amazon. Like if you think, listen, I was a good seller in 2018 or 2016, and there is a lot of stories about it.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you're going to be a good seller in 2022, because the changes implemented by Amazon is crazy throughout all being a seller, right? So if you say to yourself, I was a good seller in 2016, what can I learn new that I don't know? A lot of things. So be always open-minded to your surrounding and to your industry.
Yes. And of course, as you mentioned, building a strong team, CEO is sort of the entrepreneur, not the technician. I'm reading now the book, The E-Myth Revisited, I think it's called, by Gerber. I don't know if you read it. It's a good book. There's like, maybe in your head or in my head, we have many personalities. There's maybe the fat me and the thin me. Okay, the fat me says, okay, I want now the donut. And the thin me says, no, man, you just had a workout now. They are like conflicting, right?
Yeah.
And in the business owner, there's the entrepreneur there's the manager and there's the technician. The technician wants to work all the time. He's not interested in the vision of the of the entrepreneur. And the manager wants to manage it all, to have it all correctly done, should be systems in place. He doesn't want the entrepreneur's vision and all this. And the entrepreneur doesn't really care about the little things, like, he's interested in the big details, right? So the book is sort of trying to explain to you how you can navigate this better when you understand that there are these three types in you. And one of the things is, you mentioned the team. Okay, so the entrepreneur can delegate this thing to person that can be the technician. He can efficiently do the PPC, right? And the CEO or the entrepreneur, right? He needs to just play with this system. He needs to have the big vision to take everybody there and to give each one a role, and better than himself. There's someone that is better than himself in that, as you mentioned. And then things, at least from my point, as I see, I started hiring people last year, and with the help of my friend Barak Almog, that you also know, before that, I was grinding with my guy. Yes, he's a great fella, very interesting mind. Yeah, man, like just a few things from my, but thank you for sharing your tips, man. I think this is very interesting. And man, we're gonna have all the links in the description for your stuff, contacts. If people want to contact you, your company, that would be great. And thank you for your time, Amit. Thank you.
Thank you, Vova. It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Bye, man. Thank you.